One of my favorite creators in the last few years has been Mortismal Gaming. Recently, he argued that stopping a game early but still reviewing it and posting it is effectively like walking off the job. It's a common argument that to critique a game to its fullest, you have to see the full scope and essentially, when you can, roll credits on it. In the spirit of discussion in this video, I respectfully disagree. To me, the goal of a review is ultimately just arming the consumer with enough knowledge to make an informed decision. That means it's my job to be a proxy for the player, first and foremost, and to do that effectively at its best, I have to interact with the product in the most authentic way possible. I believe quitting or just stopping is a valuable part of that authenticity because it's what so many players actually do. It's part of the reason why I stated in an older video that I will always pay for the games I review or discuss in some way, even if I got codes. Because one of the most critical measures of that authenticity is feeling the player's pain of parting ways with real money. I genuinely believe it's hard to be that bothered by repetitive mechanics or poor pacing or bad story, or just an outright lack of value when you were given a $70 or $100 code for free. But when it's my wallet on the line, I think that's an entirely different story, one that can't be mimicked. With that in mind, I think the act of stopping or quitting a game is a really powerful signal, not so dissimilar to paying for your own games. If a game is so unengaging that it makes me abandon a $70 purchase, I think that's a really piece of valuable information for a consumer to hear in their review. It is important to say that I view this topic a little bit differently, maybe with a smidge of bias, because I've spent the last decade working as a UX designer. And in my line of work, if a user closes an app within 10 minutes because they're frustrated or bored or they aren't getting the value that they expected, you blame yourself. You blame the design process for failing to deliver on that value promise. We typically call this churn. That's what it is as a metric or as a KPI if you want to be really boring about it. But ultimately, it's an important signal in kind of all walks of life, specifically design, but in this case, reviews. When a reviewer forces themselves to finish a boring or unengaging game, they are ignoring that churn signal. At that point, they are then doing nothing more than arbitrarily playing the game just for the sake of it. Because who's ultimately getting the value from those hours? Who is it representing? And how does it improve the review? By quitting? By stopping? I believe that really simulates the real player behavior, their real, genuine, authentic experience. As a UX designer, this is invaluable. I want to know this information every day and every week. It is so important to the process. As a game reviewer, it's another tool in my arsenal to provide an authentic portrayal of the potential player's experience if they're going to part ways with their real money. If I force myself to finish games for no good reason, I don't think I'm a useful proxy for the player anymore, and I lose access to a vital connection. As a reviewer, it's important to maintain as many of those ties and connections to real players as possible. So yeah, paying for your games is one of those things, playing the game in a mostly typical way, but also really underutilized, being yourself. I think it is incredibly underutilized, and we just don't see it enough for reviewers to play games or genres they don't gel with, they don't like, or have little experience in. If I make a review on a third-person shooter or an action-adventure games or a competitive game, and you watch those reviews and you align with me, I think it's a really powerful signal for you to know that, hey, Drake played Witcher 3, Fallout, or Persona and dropped off them in 5 hours, 10 hours, 15, 20 hours. Because then when I review Cyberpunk, for example, and I hit the platinum, that tells you so much more about the game and how you might attach yourself to it than simply going to watch like an IGN review or another creator that loves RPGs for them to say, yeah, it's really good. That doesn't really tell you anything. Baldur's Gate 3 is a great example of this. Baldur's Gate 3 was heralded as one of the best games of a generation. I do not like it. Not in the slightest. I think it sucks. Does that mean the game sucks? No. Does it mean I'm a bad reviewer? No. But what it does mean is for the people that watch the reviews, they can attach themselves to that and be like, okay, well, Drake liked XYZ. I also like XYZ. Maybe I'll feel the same. And for me, YouTube is a broad spectrum. You can go and watch 10, 20, 30 different reviewers. And the idea, at least for me, maybe I'm wrong, is that you take little bits of pieces of information from everyone, and that's how you come up with your decision to make a purchase. Ultimately, it isn't my job to finish a developer's product for them. That's for QA to do. I think my duty is around user experience, to be a proxy for the player and helping you make that informed decision. And stopping or quitting is a really efficient, strong, powerful way to convey that message. But what do you think? Do you trust reviews less if the person didn't finish the game, or do you value knowing where the drop-off point actually is? Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.